Now, EOMM, or Engage Optimized Matchmaking, has been a phrase tossed around since the dawn of Marvel Rivals, and in previous games, but primarily around Marvel Rivals. And in this specific video, we're going to be talking about this topic and looking at the video that NetEase put out about EOMM and how they actually do their matchmaking. Now, whether this game has EOMM or not is completely up in the air. And like always, if you're new here or find yourself coming back on the regular and you aren't already subscribed yet, why not? It's completely free and you're coming back anyways. We're going for the goal of 20,000 subscribers before my birthday in September. It would mean the world to me, but regardless, I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy this show. Now, before anything, I think people need to understand the difference between EOMM and SBMM. So EOMM, or Engagement Optimized Matchmaking, is a matchmaking system designed to maximize player engagement and retention by manipulating game's difficulty rather than strictly adhering to skill-based matchmaking. Basically, the whole theory is analyzing player behavior. It aims to create an ideal emotional experience, keeping players challenged but not overwhelmed, which can result in artificial wins and lost streaks, inconsistent match difficulty, and potential influence in-game purchases. While SBMM, or skill-based matchmaking, prioritizes matching players with similar skill levels to create fair and competitive games. Now, when it actually comes to EOMM, I think there's a lot of things on the internet and a lot of things that have been circling around that it goes for things like for losing players, win-loss streaks, for winning players to keep people coming back, for in-game purchases, but I think the biggest thing is emotional manipulation, and the goal is to create a dopamine cycle where players experience both highs, so winning, and lows, losing, that makes them want to keep playing to chase a better feeling. Now, whether this is 100% true, I don't really know. Now, my whole stance on this topic is if someone were to come up and ask me, is EOMM in Marvel Rivals? My clear and honest answer would be certainly, I honestly have no idea. Now, people might come up and say, Duck, you're saying that you don't know because you want to cop out or you're getting paid by Marvel Rivals or whatever. Well, I'm not. I just certainly don't know if EOMM is in the matchmaking or not. I think if you go into matches or you go into ranked with the theory that EOMM is in the game, it's going to affect the outcome of how you play in that match. Whereas if you go into the match not thinking about really anything and just playing the game, maybe the outcome changes, maybe it doesn't. Now, before we sit here and actually watch the, controversial video or whatever, just going into it, I do think the Marvel's matchmaking system is pretty bad, let's be honest. And I think two things are needed in order to kind of fix this problem. The first one is placement matches. I don't think I've ever played a game or a competitive game without placement matches, which is pretty insane to me. Now look, even if those 5 or 10 matches can be pretty annoying to play just to get one single rank, I think it's a way better system to try to help determine where to start at, so you're not dealing with people in bronze that are completely stomping you, and you're not dealing with people, in GM and Celestial and Eternity that don't know how to play the game. I think placements is always a good thing to get a good baseline stat. Although it might not be the most accurate thing, I always think it's a great thing to have. Secondly, I do think the matchmaking system just in general definitely needs to be fixed. I'm not sure what the best solution is for that. I don't know anything about statistics or doing the matchmaking, but I do think something needs to change. But now let's actually just take a look at the video. This is the same case in Overwatch, is that if you're playing against a team that has a higher average score, you should be getting more points. But that in turn is, if you have a average higher score on your team and you end up losing, you lose more points, which I guess is fine. It makes sense, but the numbers of the average can be skewed. You could be having the worst teammate on your team and having some of the best players as well, but that one player drags down your team, so you lose more because of that one result. And that's where the skill-based matchmaking should come into play, giving you a good skill-based matchmaking. So you should be paired up with players of the similar rank. So this is a little bit interesting to me.
Facing lower ranked teams.
So that is something.
Examples: players' competitive score 3,500. Enemy teams average 3,700. Win plus 25 base
Okay.
points. Lost minus.
Okay. So this is what I was saying. If the the teams are even, you should be gaining and losing the same amounts. And if they're skewed, you'll be gaining more on a win. And if you have a higher average, you're losing less.
15 base points.
I mean, it
Players'
makes
competitive
sense.
Score 3,500. Enemy teams average 3,300. Win plus 15 base points. Loss
Yep.
minus 25 base points.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense to why they're doing it this way.
Reflect your individual performance tailored to your hero's role. Performance points reflect how well you played during the match. Because heroes in Marvel Rivals have widely different powers and roles, we don't just tally up stats. Even if two players contribute equally to the outcome, their raw stats may look very different depending on which hero they play.
Interesting.
Instead, to accurately evaluate your impact, we use several steps to calculate performance points. For each hero used in the match,
So this is interesting because say the average is 5,000 damage, 5,000 healing per 10 minutes. If you have less than 10 minutes, it's going to shoot you down on the, I guess, point system. But if you get more than that 5,000 average I was talking about, then it will kind of jump your numbers or skew your numbers upwards. This is a very interesting approach, I would say. I think it's fine.
examples. A Diamond 1 player spends 4 minutes as Loki and 6 minutes as Invisible Woman in a 10-minute match. Let's break down the performance points calculation. First, the system converts their in-game stats to 10-minute averages and then convert them into performance value. Assuming Loki has a performance value of 1,200 and Invisible Woman has 1,000. Next, the system finds the average performance value for Diamond 1 players with those heroes, which we will assume Loki and Invisible Woman both are 1,000. We then calculate the performance coefficients. Loki's coefficient is 1.2, while Invisible Woman's is 1. This is then weighted by playtime. The overall coefficient works out to be 1.08.
So it seems
Finally,
like you're just
this player's
competing with all your teammates
is compared
every
to the
game,
other 5 teammates.
which makes it a little bit more interesting and more likely for certain players to do one thing or another.
And let's say that they are 1, 1, 0.8, 0.8, and 1.15, resulting in an average of 0.97. Once both your base
Let's
points
skip
and
ahead a little
performance
bit.
points are calculated, your final score is determined by weighting these two parts. The weights vary by rank. As you climb the ranks, the weighting of base points will gradually increase, while performance points weighting decreases. In lower ranks, performance points have a higher weight to help skilled players rise faster. Higher ranks shift weight towards base points for consistency. Example: a player wins a rank match, earning 20 base points and 30 performance points. If the player is in silver, with a base point weight of 0.4 and a performance point weight of 0.6, the final score gained is 26. If the player is in celestial, with a base point weight of
So this means a higher, a good player in the low rank should be able to climb faster than a player that's good in a higher rank based on how they give points. Because if you look 26, 23,
0.7, and the
that's how
performance
it
point weight
should
of
technically be, and
0.6,
it makes sense.
the final
The
score
higher
gained
ranks
is
should be
26.
harder to climb versus the lower ranks. But this is what I'm more interested
Our
in.
players hail from all corners of the globe, each with different like match-based
Skip.
competitive ranks. Help
Wait, what?
count two as an unbalanced battle.
Okay.
Longer waits means broader competitive.
I want to see, take a...
For example, The first system tries to match with another 4-player team.
Yes.
But if none are promptly found, it will eventually expand to mixed teams like 4-1-1
Yes, that makes sense.
versus 3-2-1. Longer waits means
That's why it's like higher stacking is harder to balance because you have to find another high rank stack or another stack in general. Like you have to find a 4 stack versus a 4 stack, but then you also have to find either a duo or a solo queuer and another solo queuer. That's why stacking games is a little bit harder. Like if you think about League of Legends, for example, you have flex queue, which is I think one duo. Then I think it goes to 3, then 5. I could be completely wrong, but I think it's kind of like that for flex queue in League of Legends. Because it's hard to find those other players playing that specific mode.
competitive scores ranges. And reaching the
Again, I
upper
could be
limit of the
completely
range
wrong.
can result in a difference in scores between the two teams. From the matchmaking results, this would appear to be an unbalanced battle. However, tightening the rules would mean much longer waits and a bad
That's fair. I mean, it's fair, like,
experience. This is the core challenge.
because
Balance
when it comes to a game like Marvel Rivals versus like Overwatch, because they're like the clear two examples, you experience in Overwatch when you have the role-based queue that it takes a longer queue sometimes than having not role-based matchmaking, but you trade quality and speed. Those are the two trade-offs. So when you have queue or role-based matchmaking, you sacrifice quality for speed. And wait, did I say that right? When you have role-based matchmaking, you sacrifice speed for quality. So it's going to take longer, but you get essentially better quality teammates because it's all based on the role. In Marvel Rivals, 6 players, you can play any role you want, so it's kind of, you just get thrown into a match.
matchmaking quality and speed. Team queues make this speed versus
And I truly like not role-based matchmaking because I think it allows you to really mix and match team compositions. I think you could play goats, you could play 3 tanks, you could play 3 supports, you could play 2 tanks, you could play 1 DPS, and 3 supports. You can do this and that, and I really like the aspect where you can come up with a whole bunch of strategies and plans for Marvel Rivals, whereas in Overwatch you have a set plan. You have 1 tank, 2 DPS, 2 healers, and that's about it. Overwatch, you can, or Marvel Rivals, you can do whatever, and that's what Overwatch used to be. You could do whatever. Overwatch 1. So, in my opinion, it's more fun to play whatever you want. Although, the counter argument is you might get 6 DPS or you might get 5 DPS, 1 healer, stuff like that. Look, at the end of the day, if you're all technically trying to win the match, people will eventually swap. So, that's just my opinion.
Season 3.5 with temporary restricted teams of 4 or 6 players.
Yeah, this is a big thing.
Higher ranks where there are balanced matches.
That's fair because, well, I understand the 4 stack and the 6 stack at like the very, very higher ranks, like Celestial up. Unders, I would say Diamond below should be any stack. I think Diamond up, then you can start considering changing some things. And then Celestial up should definitely be Duo. I think they're doing it right. Like Duo at Celestial Eternity, one above all. Under Celestial, this is where things get a little bit interesting. But to be fair, as a 6 stack, you could carry that one bad friend, or the friend that doesn't play the game a lot, up to a super high rank that they shouldn't be at. And when they do go to solo queue, it just brings down the rest of their team because they were essentially boosted by their friends. So it's so hard to deal with all of this stuff, honestly.
Player A teams up with player B and player C to queue for competitive.
Yep.
In this scenario, player A is Diamond 1, player B is Diamond 3, player C is Platinum 1.
Yep.
The average rank of this 3-player team is around Diamond 3. They select only the Oregon server node for matchmaking, since there aren't enough teams of the same size and rank in the queue on this node. The matchmaking system gradually expands the search range as time passes. After 5 minutes, the system finds 9 more players who meet the criteria. These 9 players include another 3-player team with an average rank of Platinum 1, a 2-player team with ZB, 3-player division 3-player team.
I'm kind of skipping through this.
Marvel Rivals.
Oh, this is the controversial moment. Marvel Rivals does not use
EOMM. So, why do some matches feel uneven? Why do certain players encounter win or loss streaks? We would like to take this opportunity to provide some insights, hoping to clarify some of the confusion for everyone.
Let's see what they say.
In a competitive two-sided game, the fewer players on each side, the more accurately the competitive score reflects individual skill. However, as team size increases, this accuracy drops, since even if both teams have identical average scores, other factors like teamwork and coordination can sway the outcome. Additionally, because we don't lock roles, players might end up playing a role they are less
That is fair.
with,
That is a fair take, whether you want to believe it or not.
Perform at their rank's full potential.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you are assigned your preferred role, playing a hero you are less skilled with can also affect.
That is true. You can't argue with that.
So, why don't we add role queue? First, we believe that allowing players the freedom to play as their favorite superheroes and team up with others to create diverse creative team combos encourages more varied strategies and gameplay. Second, adding role-based matchmaking would significantly increase.
That is also true.
While still failing to fully eliminate skill discrepancies between matches. Where there are choices, there will be differences. Objectively, it's quite challenging to have an equal number of players across the 3 roles. To strike a balance between matchmaking speed and fairness, the competitive score ranges for each role would have to differ. Roles with fewer players would have lower competitive score thresholds, while roles with more players would require higher thresholds. This, in turn, will lead to greater variance in match quality. We are working to introduce more interesting vanguards and strategies in future updates to give players more choices, but these changes will take time to develop. We thank you for your patience. For example, chance of streaks, if consecutive matches, team average carry over less. Cast and input help.
So, at the end of this, what can I say? Do I think there's EOMM in this game? I can't tell you yes or no, unfortunately. What I can say is that the matchmaking is flawed. I think that is one of the biggest takeaways from Marvel Rivals. Matchmaking is flawed. It's not the best matchmaking system out there. And secondly, I do think they need to really add placements. I think placements is a great thing. People might say placements are horrible, whatever. I think it's a good way to get a good baseline instead of just starting at bronze and rolling through players that might not be at the bronze level. Like, you could be starting out on a fresh account. You're a GM player. You completely roll through bronze players, and bronze players are going to cry about it because they're getting stomped. I think if you add placements, it kind of avoids that problem, right? Because if you're not the best, you will lose rank. And if you do placements, you'll get placed lower if you didn't do the best. And if you did really well in placements, you'll get placed higher, so you avoid that smurfing problem. You avoid that alt account problem. And for people that are actually smurfing, you will actually see that when they do their placements, get placed very low or throwing on purpose, didn't do extremely well in bronze, you will actually see the smurfing problem and be able to ban those accounts, for example. Way easier than disbanding random players. I do, again, think the MM system in general needs to be tweaked or tuned. It's definitely not in the best scenario or the best place. But again, do I think EOMM is in this game or not? I can't give you a definite answer. I don't take any side on that. I think mentality when you go into a game is a big factor. If you go into a game with the mentality that there is EOMM in the game, it's going to affect how you play the match, right? You can blame it for the loss, you can blame it for this and that, but at the end of the day, it's your own decisions as well that are part of it. So I think in general, the system is flawed. I can't say EOMM is in the game or not confidently. I didn't get paid by Marvel or anything. I don't know if it's in the game, but I do think some things need to change, whether it's this changing the overall system, adding placements, or whatever. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. This video was just a discussion and a reaction video, nothing too crazy. But do you think EOMM is in the game or not? Or what do you think they should add or change to the Marvel Rivals rank system in general that they haven't done already? Let me know in the comments down below. But hopefully you found this video entertaining and enjoyable whatsoever. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.